All right, welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're diving into something that's, one of the most powerful tools in all of computing, the Linux shell. This is how you go beyond just clicking around and start talking directly to the heart of your machine.
I mean, think about it. We're all so used to just clicking on icons, dragging windows around. It's easy, right? But what happens when that's not enough? How do you give a computer really precise, powerful instructions when a mouse and some pretty pictures just won't cut it?
Well, that's where this whole idea of the power of command comes into play. If you want to unlock what a system can really do, especially in serious professional fields, you've got to have a more direct line of communication. A mouse just isn't going to get you there. And listen, this isn't some obscure skill just for tech hobbyists. Not at all. For anyone, and I mean anyone, working in a field like cybersecurity, knowing your way around a Linux shell isn't just a nice to have. It's absolutely crucial. It's a fundamental part of the job.
So, okay, how do we have this direct conversation then? Well, we use this really cool type of program that basically acts as our own personal digital translator. And that translator, that's the shell. Simple as that. It's what's called a command line interpreter. Basically, it takes the commands you type and translates them into instructions that the computer's brain, the operating system kernel, can actually understand and carry out. It's the bridge, the essential link between you and the machine. And the whole process, it's like this elegant, super fast four-step dance. You type in your command, instantly, the shell figures out what you mean. It passes that request onto the kernel, and boom, the result pops right back up on your screen. It's this incredibly direct, almost real-time conversation.
Okay, but here's where it gets really interesting. There isn't just one shell. It's not a single tool. A much better way to think about it is like a whole toolbox, right? And inside that toolbox, you've got different tools, each one designed for slightly different jobs.
And that toolbox has some pretty famous names in it. You've got Bash, which stands for the Born Again shell. You've got the C shell, or CSH, the Corn shell, KSH, an enhanced version of the C shell called TCSH, and another one that's getting super popular, the Z shell, or ZSH. Each one has its own vibe, its own history, and its own special features.
Now, what's really important to get is that they all use the same basic Linux commands at their core. But they each have their own little quirks, their own features, their own way of doing scripting. It's kind of like web browsers. They all get you to the internet. But Chrome, Safari, Firefox, they all have a slightly different look and feel, different extensions, right? Shells are like that. Here's a perfect, simple example of a small but super obvious difference. The prompt, that little symbol that tells you, okay, it's your turn to type. Well, in Bash and the Corn shell, it's a $sign. But if you jump over to the Z shell, it's a %sign. It's a tiny little detail, but it instantly tells you what environment you're working in. So with all these options, you're probably wondering, okay, which one should I learn first? Well, for professionals, and especially for folks in cybersecurity, there is a clear frontrunner. The one that has really become the industry standard is Bash. Why? Well, first off, it's just everywhere. Bash, the Born Again shell, is the default shell on the huge majority of Linux systems. So when you open up a terminal on a brand new Linux machine, chances are you are talking to Bash. On top of that, it's also known for being really user-friendly. It has great features like command history, so you can just press the up arrow to see what you typed before, and tab completion, which is a lifesaver. It just strikes this perfect balance. It's approachable for beginners, but still incredibly powerful for the pros doing complex stuff. And all of this, its ubiquity, its power, its friendliness, it all leads to this one critical point. For anyone in the cybersecurity profession, Bash isn't just another option on the list. It is the standard. It's the language they use for analyzing systems, for testing defenses, for pretty much everything. Okay, so that was a super quick tour of the command line. Let's just take a second to lock in the key takeaways from all this. So, what do you really need to remember? First, shells are a fundamental, non-negotiable part of Linux. Second, the shell is your translator. It's how you talk to the computer. Third, there are lots of different shells out there in that toolbox. And finally, and maybe most importantly for many of you,
Bash is the go-to standard in the cybersecurity world. Ultimately, when you get the hang of the shell, you've really taken a huge step into a much bigger world. You're moving past just pointing and clicking. You're actually learning to speak the computer's native language directly. And that really brings us to the final thought here. A shell isn't just some program on a screen. It's a tool for creation, for control, for making things happen. So now that you know the language of direct command, the only question left is, what are you going to build?